Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. The lesson today is history, and we did discuss last history lesson Ghazwat Badr and how the Muslims lost their property in Mecca, including the house of the Prophet ﷺ was sold by Aqil ibn Abi Talib and took the money. So the Mecca people took the money of the Muslims and went to buy things from Sham. So on their way back, Muslims tried to get their money back, but Abu Sufyan managed to escape with the caravan, and the Mecca people came to fight the Muslims. How dare you try to take your money back? It's our money. But they were involved in a fight with the Muslims, 1,000 Qurayshi against 314 Muslims, and the 314 won the war. And that was quite humiliating to Quraysh. How dare 300 win a war against us, the 1,000? We are the strong, we are in charge of the Arabian Peninsula, and they want to take revenge. So they prepared for next year to come out and take revenge from the Muslims, and managed to arrange for 3,000 strong fighters to come with hundreds of horses and camels and a lot of, obviously, treasure they have. And they came and camped in Uhud. When they were trying to leave Mecca with this 3,000, Al-Abbas ibn Abdul Muttalib, he was a Muslim in hiding, and he sent a letter to the Prophet ﷺ telling him that the Qurayshi coming out to fight you again. So the Prophet ﷺ said to the Sahaba that we better fight in Medina, a street fight. So we fight from the roof of our houses and from the streets, and we can split the 3,000 army into a smaller group, and we can win against them. A lot of the youngsters especially, they said, no, we want to go out and have a true battlefield fight with them and defeat them and show them that we are still strong. And they kept pressing to the Prophet ﷺ to go out of Medina and fight in a battlefield. And then the Prophet agreed ﷺ with them and put on the fighting armor and came out, and then they felt they embarrassed the Prophet ﷺ. So they said, no, we'll change our mind, okay, we'll go with your idea. The Prophet ﷺ said, no, Prophet, put the armor and ready for the war, should take it off until he finished the war. So they went out, 1,000 of them, towards Uhud. Uhud is not far from Medina, it's around 5 miles away from Medina. The Sahaba and the Prophet ﷺ camped behind them the mountain. On their right there were a small hill, and he put 50 archers on the hill. He said, you protect our back in case the army came from the back, and don't leave the hill whether you see us dead and birds are eating us, or whether you see us winning and collecting the spoils. But never leave the hill until I tell you. On the way, when they went, the head of the hypocrites, Abdullah ibn Abi Salul, he took 300 of the army back with him to Medina because he wanted to weaken the Muslims. He was obviously against the Muslims. When the Prophet ﷺ came to Medina, he was about to be appointed as a king, but they didn't. They just forgot about him, and they came celebrate the arrival of the Prophet ﷺ. So he had the enmity in his heart against the Prophet, but he managed to split the army and take 300 with him back to Medina, and the army came down now to 700. That didn't weaken the Prophet ﷺ, nor the Sahaba, and they carried on to the mountain of Uhud, and they started fighting the Qurayshis. And at the beginning, the Muslims were really fighting very hard, and they start winning. And the enemy, the Qurayshis, started running away from the battlefield. 50 archers on the hill, 40 of them have to go down and collect the spoils. You collect, a shield, you collect a sword, you collect a horse or something. Abdullah ibn Jubayr, he was in charge of them. He kept shouting at them, don't leave, but they didn't listen to him. That weakness spotted by Khalid ibn al-Walid, who wasn't a Muslim at that time, and he came with a very strong horse riding fighters, and they started fighting the Muslims from the back. So it created quite a havoc. Qurayshis who were running away, they saw that the table turned round and now the Muslims are getting a beating. So they came back to fight the Muslims again. And they managed to fight and kill 70 of the Sahaba, 6 from the Muhajirin and 64 from Al-Ansar. And one of the great losses in that war, killing of Hamza ibn Abdul Muttalib. Hamza, in Badr, he managed to kill father and the brother of Hind. Hind was the wife of Abu Sufyan. And she brought a slave of hers called Wahshi, and she said to him, if you kill Hamza, I will set you free. He managed within the havoc to spot Hamza, and he threw him with the spear, and he managed to kill Hamza radiallahu anhu. Hind herself, she was so furious that he killed her brother and their father, and she came and tried to chew the liver of Hamza, which really upset the Prophet ﷺ. After a rumor came that the Prophet ﷺ died. He was injured, he bled, but the rumor came that he was killed. So the Qurayshi felt that, yeah, we won the war, and they left the battlefield and went back towards Mecca. The Prophet ﷺ didn't die, and he went back with the Sahaba to Medina. But halfway through, the news came that the Prophet didn't die, Abu Bakr didn't die, Umar didn't die, Ali didn't die. So they didn't kill many of the Muhajirin. The Prophet ﷺ and the Sahaba were not affected. So they felt that they didn't really win the war. So they need to come back and finish them up and enter Medina. The Prophet ﷺ heard this, because I always have spies within the enemy to tell him what's going on. And he said, all those who were fighting with me must come out with me, and we're going towards Hamra al-Asad. Hamra al-Asad, where the Qurayshi were camping, rallying themselves to come back and fight the Muslims. And on the way, he said to the Muslims, each one should carry enough wood to set a fire at night and stay apart from each other, spread across the land. And he sent people to spread rumors that the Muslims came with thousands of people from Medina and they're coming to finish you up. And during the night, everyone set fire. So the Kafirin, the Qurayshis looked, there's 700-800 fires there. If each fire surrounded by 10 people, so there's 7,000 of them, and only 3,000 us, so we better keep the reputation, we won the war, and leave. So the Prophet ﷺ managed to put the fear in their heart that Muslims have 7,000 coming back to fight you, and they left Hamra al-Asad, went back to Mecca. So the Prophet ﷺ obviously managed to save the Muslims, but he didn't allow any of the hypocrites to go with him the second time to Hamra al-Asad. Only those who were fighting with me yesterday, and even if he is injured, he must come out. If he can rely on two, come out with us. And the Prophet ﷺ told the Muslims, they learned a lesson, which we will discuss after we see the film, inshallah. So the lessons from of Uhud, that if the Prophet ﷺ said that better fight in Medina, should have listened to him. Because two things. First, Allah said about him, وَمَا يَنْطِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَىٰ إِنْ هُوَ إِلَّا وَحْيٌ يُوحَىٰ. He is receiving revelations from Allah. So you wouldn't know whether it's revelations from Allah or not. In Badr, they asked him whether it is his decision to stay here or is it a revelation from Allah. He said, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he said, it was my opinion. So the Sahabi said, we better take over all the wells, or water wells, and deprive the enemy from water. And this occasion, they didn't ask him. So they want to go out and fight and show their might and things, and some of them want to die as martyrs. And so that's the first lesson. They should have listened to him, or ask him at least, is it your decision or is it a revelation from Allah? The second one, Allah Azza wa Jalla wants to show the Muslims that there's a lot of hypocrite around you. And the fact that the hypocrite came out with the Prophet was a well-planned way to weaken the Muslims. So they went out with them, and then 300 chickened back because they were not actually believers in Allah Azza wa Jalla. They didn't want to fight for the sake of Allah, and they pretended that they were not consulted. And headed by Abdullah ibn Abi Salul, who is known a top hypocrite in Medina. So the Muslims came to realize that a lot of hypocrites around us, so we really need to make sure we are not weakened by them. A third lesson is the archer, who were asked to stay on the hill, never leave it until the order of the Prophet ﷺ came to them. Disobeyed the order. 40 of them left the hill and came down to collect the spoils. Allah Azza wa Jal mentioned them in Ayah 152 in Surah Al-Imran. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ولقد صدقكم الله وعده إذ تحسونهم بإذنه حتى إذا فشلتم وتنازعتم في الأمر منكم من يريد الدنيا ومنكم من يريد الآخرة ثم صرفكم عنهم ليبتليكم وَلَقَدْ عَفَا عَنْكُمْ وَاللَّهُ ذُو فَضْلٍ عَلَى الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. Now he said to them, at the beginning you were winning, and then when you disputed among yourselves, shall we stay on the hill or not stay on the hill? Some of you wanted dunya, collect the spoils, the arrow, the shield, whatever. Some want the akhirah, because 10 remained on the hill, they didn't leave. And Allah tested them. The order of the Prophet must be obeyed. If you don't obey the order of the Prophet, who is you going to obey? So you need to, and that's a lesson to all of us. We must obey Allah Azza wa Jal, obey His Messenger, obey our good leaders who are leading us, and obey mom and dad and teachers and things. And so this obedience will only bring you trouble. Now, another lesson. You always must have spies among your enemy. Now, in the beginning, Al-Abbas ibn Abdul Muttalib, he was the spy for the Prophet in Mecca, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he sent him the news, the army coming back. Another spies who were with Qurayshi, when they felt they won the war and they went back to Mecca, Qurayshi felt that, we thought the Prophet died, he didn't die, so we have to go back and finish the Muslim once and for all. So the news came to Prophet Muhammad ﷺ after he went back to Medina, and he changed plan. He said, all of us who were fighting yesterday must come out to fight the Qurayshi again. So he went. Another lesson that he, ﷺ, he managed to put the fear in the heart of the enemy, that there's 7,000 people coming out to fight him, and he showed through the fire which was lit by the Muslims everywhere in Hamra al-Asad, and the Qurayshi felt that we came back with winning, let's go back to Mecca with that winning. Let us not to fight him again because we might lose again. We already lost in Badr. So they went back to Mecca, and the Prophet ﷺ protected the Muslims. He didn't allow anyone else to come out to Hamra al-Asad because he didn't want any hypocrite to go inside the army to start weakening the army. So this is another lesson from the war of Uhud. And another lesson that he managed, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to regroup the Muslims and fight back when Khalid ibn al-Walid started killing the Muslims from the back. And again, another lesson, how a lot of Sahaba were around the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam defending him, including a woman who was also defending the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So that's a lesson that you need really to protect your leader. Another lesson that not because you are a Muslim you're going to win. You have to be fully prepared. You have to follow orders. You have to follow a plan. You have to execute the plan to the end to get the winning from Allah Azza wa Jal. So you have to be prepared and rely on Allah. Relying on Allah alone, Allah will not support you if you don't take the measures created by Allah Azza wa Jal. Now, one lesson which we have to keep in mind, that kafirin, the unbelievers, they will fight us all the time. There's no stop to that until the Day of Judgment, because this is how Iblis is taking revenge from Adam. That he keep whispering in the mind of people to fight the believers in Allah Azza wa Jal. And you don't have to have a reason to be fought against. They will always find a reason to fight you back and to kill. In 2003, when the American and the Alliance, the European, went and invaded Iraq, they claimed that Iraq have a weapon of mass destruction which Saddam Hussein was able to throw on Europe within 45 minutes, which is a big lie. Even they themselves said that they didn't know how they managed to create such a lie. And they managed to go and invade Iraq, and they stayed in Iraq for quite a long time. And they managed to destroy Iraq in a way that they created the fight between the Shia and the Sunni until now. And they managed to go to Afghanistan as well and stay there for 20 years. They came out of Afghanistan without any win. Your enemy will keep fighting you, whether they have a cause or reason or no reason, they will. And this is what they did with the Prophet ﷺ in Badr, and it's what they did in Uhud. And the third war, which we're going to discuss inshallah before the end of the year, is the war of Ahzab, when they came back with a big army of 10,000 at that time, with a lot of alliances. And at that time, they managed to get Bani Qurayza, the Jewish group, from behind the Muslims. So they thought the Jewish from behind, the alliance from the front, and the hypocrite inside. And that war will be really interesting to study as well. Badr gone, Muslim won the war of Badr. Uhud went without a win or a loss. Although Muslim lost 770 of them, but there were 700 against 3,000, a mighty number. And if the Muslims did not leave the hill, they would have won the war. Shaitan is against us, Iblis against us, and he will always try to get us killed by the unbelievers. They don't have to have a reason.